All right, so we're going to jump right into this one. It's called He Planned a Valentine's Day Dinner with His Wife. She plotted a murder for hire. Let's jump right into it.
Richard and Stacy Schoeck.
He's been what?
He's been shot!
They were a happy and well-liked couple in rural Georgia. 46-year-old Richard.
Richard was this gregarious, just outgoing guy. He always looked to include everyone in the room into what we were doing.
And his breadwinner wife, Stacy, head administrator for a large medical and surgical practice in DeKalb County, Georgia.
She would work her butt off to make sure that her kids had everything that they wanted and needed.
Richard was beyond devoted. Though he was Stacy's fifth husband, he adopted Stacy's
Her fifth husband. God, you gotta, if you have five husbands, you gotta, like, you know, me coming into it, I would be thinking, like, what's wrong with this lady? It's something. Like, you go through five husbands. It's one thing to have five boyfriends, but five husbands, like, that's crazy. I don't know, I'll be wondering just what's wrong, what's going on, you know, why nobody's staying. What, you know, they fall in love, it seemed like, but they falling right out, you know. But five, that's crazy. Five?
Damn!
Yeah, let's see.
two boys from an earlier marriage and was a stay-at-home dad.
Richard was a great father to them. He brought a lot to the table when it came to the marriage.
But on that fateful Valentine's Day, what he was bringing to the table was dinner, a holiday meal for Stacy and her elderly grandparents who required round-the-clock medical care.
Seemed like a great husband.
Part of their Valentine's celebration. Part two would be swapping gifts.
She made the decision that they would exchange them in the park. She told him to go ahead and meet her there because the nurse that was relieving her was late.
That was kind of weird.
So she
Park?
sent Richard ahead.
Hell, we switching gifts in the park before we go home and do that.
It's a very secluded place. There was no pavement. There was no lights. And so it's a very eerie place, especially at night.
Wait, they switching gifts at night in the park. Did they not live together? At night in the park? Yeah.
30 minutes later, Stacy pulls up, sees Richard's car still running, headlights on, driver's side door wide open, and then she sees a body on the ground in a pool of blood. It's Richard.
Two to the abdomen and one to the chest, and then two to the face, which is overkill.
Ooh.
Lieutenant Dan Franklin is one of the first on the scene. The shooting strikes him as too over the top to be random, and it's clearly not a robbery. Richard's watch, wedding ring, and wallet are still on him, and his $40,000 truck
Yeah, the
untouched.
truck.
Richard's
With
just
the
a
keys right
regular
there.
guy who's unarmed, and he gets there and he's comfortable enough to get out of his truck and approach the person who ultimately shot him to death.
Probably knew him.
Detectives scour the crime scene for evidence, but there isn't much to go on until the cruiser's headlights reveal something in the wet soil. Tire tracks, and not just Stacy and Richard's.
So that told us that the vehicle that left those impressions was there before Richard got there, and then left, presumably after he was dead.
Investigators believe the fresh tire tracks could be from the killer's car. Matching them will be tough.
We began to look on the internet.
You got to be careful when you're on the forensic, squad. That's crazy. Like, to be able to look at the tire marks and be like, okay, there's 3 different tire marks. Not only there's 3, but we can tell what car came in first or was here first, and then what car left afterwards. It's like you got to pay attention to every little small detail.
We went to tire shops. We went to the local Sam's, to Walmart, anywhere that sold tires.
They determined the tire is a Goodyear Integrity. Going forward, anyone the police question will also get their tires checked. One of the first people they question is Stacy, the widow, who, on the very night of the crime, makes a shocking and unexpected admission.
Before we left the scene, she started telling us about an affair that she'd been having with a guy named Juan Reyes.
She's about to give it all up.
I'm in deep with Juan.
Police learned Stacy had been carrying on an affair with her very own Don Juan for years, even hiring him to work as a surgical assistant at her practice, despite the fact that he had no medical experience.
When we asked her if she thought Juan was responsible, she'd say she didn't want to think that he was responsible, but she didn't know.
Could it be that easy? A jealous boyfriend wants Stacy's husband out of the picture so he can have her to himself? Is he angling to be husband number 6, or do they have the wrong guy? With all eyes on Juan Reyes, investigators hoped a polygraph test would clear things up.
Would you be willing to take a polygraph? Whatever you want me to do.
Juan became our primary suspect at that point.
The secrets of Stacy Schoeck and her lover's illicit relationship started spilling out like a Georgia sweet tea.
Let me ask you this. Did you have anything to do with what's happened to Richard?
No.
Do you know
No.
who did?
I was very disgusted when I heard she was in a relationship with this guy, Juan.
She's got you the job. She
That's why
provides
she
you
got
money.
5
The
husbands.
home that you live in, she and Richard own it. You're romantically involved with her. You can see this doesn't look good for you. I mean, I'm just being straight up with you, man.
Police learned that aside from paying for his truck and cell phone and romantic getaways, Stacy rented one of her homes to Juan and shared another piece of real estate with him.
Stacy also had a
Sugar
apartment
mama.
for her and Juan to go
was a
do
sugar
their
mama.
not so good deed.
But Juan tells police he's only been using Stacy. In fact, he says he's trying to reconcile with his ex-wife. As for the murder, he claims he was nowhere near the park the night Richard was murdered.
We ate dinner about, I want to say about 7:30. By 10:30, I was in bed.
When his ex-wife backs up his alibi and his polygraph turns out to be inconclusive, Juan is ruled out as a suspect. But then a remarkable tip pours in.
An IT technician at the spine clinic where Stacy worked called us.
The IT tech notices something strange about Stacy's email account in the days around the murder, leading police to obtain a warrant. After scouring 4,000 emails, 2 stand out. From Stacy to a bank, transferring a total of $10,000 to one of Stacy's co-workers, Lenitra Ross. Police pay Lenitra a visit.
So how much money did you get overall?
It's been about, it was 89 at first, and then
8,900.
The Friday before the murder, there's another request through SunTrust for another transfer for $1,100. And that went through also to Lenitra Ross's personal account. When you're looking at a murder for hire, you're looking for a transfer of money. And $10,000 is a nice even amount, but we needed to figure out who the other parties were.
Lenitra claims the money was to cover repairs on the home she was renting from Stacy, and the trail goes cold. But then another
She was renting to everybody. God damn. Everybody.
clue surfaces, this one from Stacy's own cousin, Connie Hearn.
Was my grandparents' car, the Impala.
Stacy was in charge of selling her grandparents' car, but she never did. Instead, it disappeared from her driveway around the time of the murder. Where did investigators find it? Parked at Lenitra Ross's house, complete with Goodyear Integrity tires, just like the tire tracks found at the murder scene.
I jumped up. I became extremely excited.
But who was driving the Chevy Impala the night Richard was murdered? Using data collected from a cell phone tower near the crime scene, police are able to match a number that called out from the park that night to a contact in Stacy's phone with the name Mr. Results. His real name, Reginald Reggie Coleman, a former semi-pro boxer and Lenitra Ross's significant other.
We were already looking at a murder for hire, and this really kind of solidified that this was the third part of the triangle because we had suspected Stacy was the linchpin. Lenitra Ross received money in the weeks leading up, and now this was our third person that we felt was involved.
Reggie's results, Mr. Results.
For the murder was $10,000 in cash. Lenitra's payment for being the person that distributed money was that Stacy was going to deed a house to live in rent-free forever.
Investigators have what they need. They pounce.
The operation was called Operation Tangled Web. And so that was a huge coordinated effort, a huge team effort. Took a lot of planning. We served 7 search warrants in 4 different counties, 3 arrest warrants, all in one day in one operation.
Cops' biggest challenge requires synchronizing the arrests so the murderous players couldn't tip each other off. They get Reggie first, then Lenitra is grabbed at a traffic stop. Finally, they go to Stacy's office where so much of her planning took place.
You have the right to talk to him while you're going to have him present with you while you're being questioned. You understand? 3?
Yes.
In the interrogation room, Lenitra and Reggie play dumb.
Do you know who my murder victim is?
No.
But Stacy admits to the murder for hire. She says she wanted Richard dead because he was molesting her sons, a claim she later retracts.
Stacy Schoeck was controlling and conniving and manipulative. She used people to the extent that she needed them, and beyond that, they just didn't matter.
Stacy later admitting the dark truth, claiming the real reason she ordered the hit was that she wanted a divorce but feared losing custody of her kids.
Ultimately,
I don't get that. Just divorce. You don't make that choice for them, for your significant other. Just divorce them. They probably, man, it ain't that. Don't kill me. I'll walk away. Don't think you that special that you gotta kill me because you want to walk away. Get gone. Bye.
I think her motive was to just live a life free of Richard, and that this was, in her eyes, the only way to make that happen.
They just thought that this was not Metro Atlanta, and they just a bunch of rednecks who simply weren't going to be able to find out what happened, but they did.
And all 3 paid the price. Stacy and Reggie pleaded guilty and were convicted of malice murder. Lenitra stood trial but was convicted of the same charge. All 3 will spend the rest of their lives behind bars. No chance of parole.
Stacy Schoeck received eventually a sentence of life without parole. She will never be released in prison except in a box.
You guys, jump in the comments and let me know what you guys think of this case. This was a quick one, straight to the point. Crazy story. Like I said, if you want me, you don't want to be with me, you ain't got to be with me. You ain't got to be with me. Just let me know and I'll walk out. We can walk. You ain't got to kill me. Don't kill me now. Come on. You guys don't forget to subscribe. Let me know what you guys think. See you guys on the next one.